You're listening to the Affiliate Marketing Podcast, brought to you by AffiverseMedia.com, the chapter and verse of everything you need to know about running a successful affiliate program for your business. This is a podcast for digital and affiliate marketers, publishers, networks, agencies, and MarTech providers who operate, support, or manage affiliate marketing programs around the globe. If you want to launch, scale, and grow a successful affiliate marketing program, you're in the right place. In this podcast, you'll learn how affiliate and partner marketing is constantly changing, and tune in to industry experts who are getting behind our mic to share tactical insights and practical knowledge to help your affiliate program grow. Here you'll discover what's new and trending in affiliate and performance marketing, how to run your affiliate program successfully, and gain industry insights from experts and practitioners from around the globe. The truth is, you simply won't find this information anywhere else. Now here's your award-winning affiliate and performance marketing host, an industry veteran, your affiliate marketing guide, and the founder of Affiverse, Leanne Johnston.
Welcome everybody back to this week's episode of the Affiliate Marketing Podcast. And I've got somebody coming back behind the mic because you have actually been on our podcast before, Kevin Edwards, but in a totally different capacity. But welcome back. He's the director of the APMA, which stands for the Affiliate Performance Marketing Association. And I'm absolutely thrilled to have you here this week. So thank you for joining me.
Thank you for having me. It's nice to be back.
Yeah, we're going to talk about lots of different things. But before we get started, for those of you who don't know who Kevin Edwards is, because I know a lot of you are tuning in from other countries around Europe and the US and everywhere around the world where you listen, tell us a little bit about your background and history in affiliate marketing and what's led you to lead the launch of the APMA this year.
Okay, so I started affiliate marketing just kind of about 23, 24 years ago. And I kind of fell into it like most people do, fall into affiliate marketing. Certainly at that time when it was very, very small, I was working kind of in a sort of almost like publisher side to begin with for a short while. And then I moved over to what was at the time the largest UK affiliate network, was doing account management, came up through the ranks, advising customers and brands on how to run affiliate programs at a time when, none of us, to be perfectly frank, knew what we were doing. And then off the back of that, I then moved over to AWIN, which at the time, or Affiliate Window as was, which at the time was like very much like a challenger network, and grew as they grew as a business. When I joined, there were 35 people. I left this year in February after 16 years. And when I left, there were 1,400 people in the business. So that was through natural growth and acquisition as well. And so obviously, I think that very much mirrors the growth and development of the industry as well. The size and growth of that business. Did lots of different things in my time there. The kind of areas that I really enjoyed were things around data and insights. I kind of had responsibility for compliance. I set up the first publisher team that they had. So kind of wore lots of different hats. And then towards the end, I was doing a lot of kind of maybe newer stuff around like marketing automation, which I found particularly interesting and is now carried through hopefully into my new role.
Yeah. It's super exciting. And I think a lot of that has set you up for success right now because you have such a breadth of understanding of where we've come from in the industry with the years that you've been there, but also you've worked on a lot of different sides. So you understand the publisher viewpoint, you understand the advertiser viewpoint. You've also had that network viewpoint, and all of us together are working in this partnership economy alongside lots of other tech platforms that plug in and augment and support and everything else. So I think you've got a really great understanding of how this whole ecosystem plugs together, and you're going to be able to dig into all of the different areas and help us to understand how we continue to build best practices, because that's kind of how we've grown, is that we've flown by the seat of our pants from way back then to where we are now. And this industry just keeps on growing. So there needs to be some sort of body that controls best practices and starts thinking about how should we be promoting things? How should we be working together? What can we do to make better partnerships and support everybody in this ecosystem, not just the publisher or the advertiser, because there's lots of other players in that field too. So in talking about that, let's talk a little bit about what some of the fundamental projects are that will be taking point as the APMA kind of embeds and launches and starts to develop some of the projects that you're going to be working on. Tell us what you're going to be focused on first.
So just to your point on that, it was very much something that when I was having initial conversations with you and with other businesses as well, it was something that came through very strongly that it needed to be broadly representative. I've done work in the past, which was the old Affiliate Marketing Council, which doesn't really exist in the UK anymore, but going back like a decade. And the consensus for a lot of companies was that it was prohibitively expensive to get involved, which meant that it favored larger companies, or it typically favored networks as well. And whilst I came at it from a network perspective, I was very much aware of that. And I tried to bring different perspectives and viewpoints in, but that is very much something that I'm trying to bake into the DNA of the APMA, which is that we want to be representative of those kind of four core audiences, really, which is the advertiser audience, the publisher audience, agencies and networks, or networks and platforms, depending on how you classify them. So that has very much fed into the kind of development of the APMA to get us to the stage where we've just launched. So over the course of the summer, there were kind of various workshops with each of those kind of four customer segments. And actually to your question, that very much was the foundation of the projects that we're going to work on in 2024. So what I wanted to do was just make sure that we did as much outreach so anyone could join these calls, regardless of their kind of interest or inclination to join. They were open to everybody. We got really good attendance for the publisher one in particular. I mean, obviously the publisher audience is a much bigger addressable audience than the others.
But even the agency one, I mean, I sat in on the agency call and it was really interesting, not only from my perspective in terms of what I wanted the APMA to do for me, but also to hear what other agencies are experiencing as well. So there's this community feel that was built in that call that led the topics of conversation in terms of what we all want to talk about. It wasn't just one person's idea of, oh, okay, we're gonna talk about just this. Everybody fed into that in those calls.
Yeah, which I was really, really pleased about. I think the way that it was, fortunately, I have some amazing support in Julia Stent, who is kind of lending her expertise and support for free in kind of an advisory capacity. And she led those workshops really effectively in order to kind of get to maximize the impact of those workshops. And in essence, you were in the workshop, so you know, but just to people that weren't, we asked people to come along with ideas. What would you want a trade body to do? What could we do that would benefit you, your business, and your customers? And we aggregated all of the feedback from that, and then we kind of clustered those thematically, and then we voted on them anonymously, which I think was important. And what emerged from that, what we effectively took was sort of like the 3 or 4 core things that came through from each of those sessions. So we had 4 of those sessions. Now, invariably, there was going to be crossover, right? So I know training's very close to your heart. Actually, training came through quite strongly from the agency one, probably more strongly than the other workshops. But training is very much going to feed into the roadmap for next year. And what that looks like in terms of deliverables, I don't know yet. This is very much sort of like finding our way in the dark, working out what works. Some stuff's going to work, some stuff's not. What came through quite strongly from that conversation is a lot of training material exists, but a lot of it exists obviously within organizations. So if we have all of this great content that's out there, why not try and collate that into some sort of overarching training module? Can we build accreditation? Also, what does training mean? Training to a new starter is different to us going out and trying to train the market, or us going out to universities and colleges and saying, can we build an affiliate marketing training module? One of the things that I was very aware of working network side, which I don't think people really pay enough attention to, is trying to put yourselves in the shoes of maybe a more junior account manager client side who has maybe been given affiliate because nobody else wants it or knows what to do with it. Obviously, the core advocate for that, but they kind of feel fairly sort of cast adrift and they don't feel that they have support. So one of the things that I'd love to do is us to get to a stage where we're arming that person with all of the collateral they need to be able to go and make a really strong business case for ongoing investment within their businesses. And that might be us coming in and presenting to their brand. That might be us saying to them, what collateral do you need? Do you need like a really kind of dummies guide to tracking, a dummies guide to affiliate? Is it that we come in and present to your CMO or your CEO? All of these things. So there's a ton of discovery that we need to do specifically just around that one topic, right? We could just focus exclusively on that. But it does go to the heart of really what a trade body should be. So at the moment, I'm speaking to some brands, and I've just been speaking to a really big telco client, and some of their feedback was trade bodies typically do one of 2 things. It's either you're kind of trying to raise standards, professionalize, or you're going out and kind of advocating for your industry to external audiences. And they kind of said, which is it? And I said, well, to be honest,
Bit of both.
And other things as well. And really, if I had a team of 5, 10 people, we could do all of those things, but we're going to have to be very, very selective about not spreading ourselves too thinly to ensure that we deliver effective projects next year. Training will be one of them. I think we'll definitely do something around tracking. Tracking is one of those topics that now it's not just an affiliate topic. For me, it's like a bit of an existential topic that if we don't really go out and hammer home the importance of good, viable tracking, then we're at real risk of potentially the channel shrinking just because we're leaving money on more and more money on the table as kind of additional restrictions come in or different technology changes come in.
Well, also affiliates are being duped. In some programs where people don't understand tracking and they haven't set up their tracking properly and they're not monitoring what's happening with their tracking, affiliates are doing all the top of funnel stuff and they're not actually getting any accreditation when it comes down to the sales. So I think that's a great place to start because it impacts everybody. It impacts the client who's leaving money on the table but not actually investing properly into the channel. It affects the affiliate because they're doing a lot of the kind of groundwork to do the promotion, create the great content, and they're not actually getting paid for it in the short term. And that obviously depends on the types of partners that you're working with. I love the training thing because, you know me, I bang my drum about training all the time.
And we've talked about this. I mean, I'd love us to have a conversation at some point next year about how we kind of get involved. Because again, I mean, you kind of very generously come on board as one of our initial members as well. You know, we're going to launch, hopefully, we're launching at the moment with around about 25 to 30 members. And they're drawn from across all 4 of those sectors. Really pleased we've got some good brands on board for launch, but agencies, publishers, networks as well. So so I'm sure that's a common, each of those companies are going to bring different skill sets or areas of expertise or areas of interest. And I know obviously training is very close to your heart. So it's something that, hopefully we'll get to work on next year.
Brilliant. I love it. So we know what the APMA is. We know what the core focuses are going to be and who all's involved. Everybody's voice has been heard through these focus groups that you've just recently done. But why do you think the industry needs to lean in now and actually really invest in kind of coming together to make this work for everybody that's in this partnership economy?
So, I guess I've alluded to it in some of the stuff I've said already, but the old Affiliate Marketing Council doesn't exist anymore. And I think that I'm fairly sure, because we know, we were talking before we started recording, because we know that so many new people have come into the space over in the last few years, the channel has grown exponentially. According to the UK IAB numbers, which I'm still a little bit skeptical about, even though my old company AWIN submitted a big chunk of those numbers, I'm still skeptical. They said the affiliate channel grew by 30% in 2023, which is actually bigger growth than it was during COVID, when we could have all sat on our hands and watched everything grow. But, when you consider those big, chunky, double-digit growth numbers, more and more people have had to come in just to manage those budgets. But really what that means is that a lot of people have no awareness of a lot of the projects that were done by the old Affiliate Council, which really was really its height in terms of effectiveness around about 10 years ago. And we did loads of really great projects at the time, and that was with very limited resource, to be perfectly honest. But a lot of those things now are outdated. There's a significant lack of awareness about any of those projects. So I think that is one core reason why we need to have this collective voice, to be able to kind of reinvigorate standards, to address new challenges that have come in. Because at the time we addressed a big issue with voucher codes, and I think we addressed it reasonably effectively. And because we addressed it reasonably effectively, I think people assume that the issue went away. And actually it didn't. It just morphed into a different issue, which still hasn't been addressed. And for me, it's a bit of an elephant in the room. And we're going to have difficult conversations about these things. But that's why I think that we can weight it with other things. So another reason I think that is good timing is because the affiliate channel is not great at telling stories. We're not a hearts and minds channel. People will say, well, you can count what the affiliate channel does on a spreadsheet. Whereas if you were a big brand agency, you would say, well, you have to watch my adverts. You have to look at my creative in order to see what I do. It's not about the numbers. It's about the hearts and minds. And I think because we are very measurable, I think that sometimes we focused in the numbers rather than the stories. So I'd love us to when I was sort of trying to formulate kind of how I was going to talk about the APMA, I kind of came up with this sort of idea, which I've always talked about it being kind of like a bit of a nuts and bolts channel, but I do want to turn it from like a nuts and bolts into a hearts and minds channel where we're going out and we're really kind of connecting with the creatives within big organizations, really connecting with the CMO and not just on a performance basis, even though that's obviously baked within our DNA. So I think connecting with CMOs, connecting with C-suite, telling good stories. I also think coming to the tracking point as well, there are some real existential threats that are out there that collectively we're not addressing. And we're kind of sleepwalking potentially into, I think the channel will continue to grow, but we're potentially stifling growth.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. We get stuck we've always done it this way. I literally had a conversation with a potential client this morning, and they were saying, well, we need to reduce our investment in this particular segment of affiliates because that's the best practices right now. And I said, hold up. Who told you that's the best practices right now? The best practice is for you to make sure that you're reaching your KPIs. That's your best practice. And actually, that information that you've just fed back to me is stuff that we were talking about 5 years ago that is no longer relevant because this ecosystem is so much bigger. 10 years ago, we didn't have Facebook. We weren't looking at content creators. So that piece of advice that you've just fed back to me as whatever it is that you were told to do is no longer relevant. And that is the thing that I think the APMA needs to step in and help everybody in the ecosystem with, is to understand what are the upcoming trends and how are those trends impacting the decisions that you're making in your business. And it starts with tracking. It starts with understanding growth rates and getting numbers and insights together. It starts with then learning from the test cases, the case studies that come back from all of that everybody needs to contribute to in order for everybody to grow. Instead of us being siloed, and really this is another reason why you work with an agency, is to get a breadth and depth of understanding of what's happening outside of your own space or with your network or whoever it is that you've decided to partner with. But I think if we start to learn to share as an industry, it's that old, a rising tide raises all ships. And actually, if you want to be in this industry and you want to work in performance and you want to be part of that 30% growth, whatever the IAB Council says it is, you need to be sharing what's happening and what's not happening and what's working and what's not working. And I think the APMA allows people to come to the table and actually have a voice and say, this is how we're doing it and it's working for us. Maybe it'll work for you too, but maybe it won't, depending on what industry or vertical or product you're selling. Because everything that we do in this channel is suck it and see.
Oh, yeah. And I mean, risk is a slightly loaded word because it depends how you measure risk. But in terms of like financial investment for return, it is a fairly risk averse channel. And also the flip side, well, not flip side, but the other, the thing that I think is brilliant about that is that because you can have that low barrier, that kind of low risk, and because it's low barrier to entry, you potentially get to work with brand new innovations and brand new pieces of tech way before anyone internally within your big organization has thought about doing it, and then fed that into a product roadmap that then has to jostle alongside a million other projects that try and get prioritized within your business. Maybe go and speak to a tech partner, and then through the technology that networks and platforms typically offer, which is, these container tag solutions where it's easy to kind of switch on, plug and play stuff, get to play around with that tech. And again, typically a lot of them are run on a pure CPA basis, and if it doesn't work or you don't like it, within 3-4 months, switch it off, try something new.
But it's almost like we've become afraid of trying new things because we're afraid of failure. I'm really seeing a lot of this come through in the kind of next generation of affiliates, where all we ever did was fail back then to get to where we are now. Like, it was your job to fail and learn from that and never do it again.
One thing I would say though is that yes, we failed, but it was on a much smaller scale. And so I wonder whether that sort of feeds into the fact that there's like additional risk, of the fact that, yes, there's a time investment. Sometimes you have to make these business cases internally. There's also, the data implications, which I can speak from an AWIN point of view. A lot of time and effort was put into ensuring that, certainly if you were changing the complexion or, the functionality of a website, and ensuring that all of the checks and balances were in place to making sure that if the publisher's tech failed, it didn't negatively impact the usability of the website. But, for me, those tech solutions coming through have added like a real complexion. I mean, it doesn't really matter whether you think they're they add loads of value or no value or somewhere in between. The fact is it's another opportunity. And for some brands, in certain situations, then they know that they might want to test something around, for example, increasing average basket sizes. And they know that this tech exists whereby it can potentially make recommendations based around stuff in your basket. But that they would know that they would never get that tech. They would never get that tech project through internally. They can turn to partners who can do it kind of almost instantly. And actually, I think one of the big success stories has been how some big brands have really embraced that. I mean, I remember from my Awin days, Samsung in particular, Awin was able to kind of issue kind of a number of really quite positive PR stories and case studies around the work that Samsung had done with their tech partner to be able to drive up AOVs and things like that. And that's where I think that it kind of hopefully gives us an extra air of like professionalism, but also the tech innovation that's coming through, the diversity of opportunity. And again, that's another thing that I really want to bake into the work that we do next year, really showcasing the breadth and depth of publisher models. And the fact is that it is kind of this smorgasbord of opportunities, and you can kind of pick and choose the ones that are right for you.
Yeah, you kind of have to be like what do you call it, a marionette? Is it a marionette puppeteer or whatever? Where you kind of you move in the strings. You do have to be that, and it's moving ahead of just doing administration and relationship management. It's actually becoming very innovative in the way that you spend your budgets and where you spend your budgets, because now there's so many opportunities.
And that's why reporting and the ability to pull your data in, and not just your at point of sale data, right? Again, we were talking about this before we started, but understanding lifetime value of customers is really, really important. And historically, that's been difficult to pull together, not through lack of willingness to want to do it, but it's been difficult to pull in data. You've effectively, as from a network perspective, we would say, well, on a very basic level, the channel is very data light in terms of the data that you have to capture, but we can capture more data points if you want. But then it's a question of pulling in additional data points and then marrying it up with publisher data, and publishers have typically been quite guarded about that data. So you effectively kind of have three data sets. You've got the advertiser one, the network one, and the publisher one. So trying to connect those three data sets has always been challenging. But again, that's if you can do that in a way that really brings it to life and demonstrates value and helps a brand to optimize, spend money in the right places, then that's the kind of really happy marriage if you can get to that place. It doesn't happen as often as it needs to.
No, and it should. All right. So let's talk a little bit about some top tips for future growth, because I know you got your hand on many pulses. Well, your pulses, you're on the pulse of many things, should I say. Where do you think future growth is headed from this? Because obviously you've had the conversations with agencies, networks, publishers, advertisers. What was the common theme of where they want to see growth and change happen from those talks?
I think it's impossible to kind of identify, pinpoint one particular thing. I think, it's like anything where I always say about the affiliate channel, it's not complicated, but it is complex. And it's about, the complexity of that is because we are effectively all digital, right? If you can make it work on a CPA, then you can do whatever you want from a digital perspective. But that does mean that you might therefore be working with dozens and dozens of different routes to market. Did a publisher survey recently and found that on average publishers use 4 different methods to drive sales each. So, when you kind of multiply that up by the number of publishers on your program, that's potentially offering you tons of complexity in terms of your routes to market. So there's a huge amount of complexity within there. I think that if you're looking at sort of where future growth is coming from, I've mentioned the tech partners. They're heavily investing in their tech. They are reaching out, they're doing some good, they're winning good brands. They're also looking at future growth as well, where their future growth is coming from. And I think some of them are looking to scale that up to be able to offer their tech out in a less manual way.
There's a lot of integrations happening as well.
Yeah, I think, I remember again at Awin, we did some work with Intently, who've also come on board as a founder member of the APMA. And they created a cut down version of their tech for small businesses, which was great because individually that, the numbers aren't going to be massive, but if they can offer an automated, scalable solution for SMEs, then it kind of stacks up the numbers. So, and also that points to another trend that I've definitely seen, not just from an AIM perspective, because I've seen other networks like Trade Doubler and Impact and WebGains do it as well, but trying to appeal more to small and medium sized companies. And that is kind of through offering, different commercial models, really highlighting the risk-free elements, making it very easy for them to break contracts if they feel that it's not the right time for them. And I think all of these things are positive because companies go into it, they don't feel duped by it. They go in with their eyes wide open. We kind of used to say to them, you kind of do get what you put in. We recommend a minimum amount of time. If for you, for whatever reason, it doesn't work, you can just walk away with 30 days notice. And again, that's in complete contrast to how programs used to be sold on, a 12-month contract, or at least sometimes 24 or 36-month contract. So small businesses coming through has just increased exponentially the number of programs that there are.
I do want to caveat something here, though, and this is literally because I've had 2 calls like this today, and it's front of my mind. You do pay for what you get in the affiliate channel. If you pay, like the old adage, if you pay peanuts, you get monkeys. Like, that is really the truth, because what you are paying for is expertise and experience and fast tracking, knowing that your program is safe with somebody who knows what they're doing and can actually advise you appropriately. And you actually said it, affiliate marketing isn't, well, I don't know how you said it. You said affiliate complicated, but it is complex. And if you don't have the right strategy, structure, partnerships in place, it can cost you money if you're doing it wrong. So whilst it is pay on performance, there are upfront costs that you need to pay for to actually get into the channel, and just be cognizant, like ask the right questions of the partners that you're working with and that you're looking to work with, because you really do want to avoid that. I've gone into the channel, it hasn't worked for me because I didn't actually know what I was doing, because that's sad for you, because we know that this channel works. It works for multiple brands around the globe, from small to big, but only if you have a proper plan in place. So take that as a warning, your Halloween warning, whatever it is, please don't enter into this channel lightly. Do get the right people in place and get the support.
One thing that we have seen is kind of the growth of affiliate specific agencies or consultants who are coming through to advise who aren't those kind of big catch-all media agencies for who they've just kind of stuck affiliate on as a bolt-on. So that's definitely gone hand in hand with that SME growth, I think. So again, I think a combination of those two things, obviously buy now, pay later. I mean, there was I know you covered it on your site recently, but that Klarna interview was kind of mind-blowing, really, where they talked about affiliate being such a huge revenue driver. Again, how much longevity is in some of these things, you don't know, but they are clearly trying to build out a customer proposition alongside the payment model.
Well, having been there and done that in the payments industry, for those of you who don't know my background, I actually ran one of the biggest e-wallet company, 2 of the biggest e-wallet companies in the iGaming sector. So the biggest competitors to PayPal. Payments is hot right now. That's all I can tell you. Partner up with your payment providers, talk to your payment providers. They've got data segments that you never dreamed that they could, leverage and use and help you with. So yeah, take that as a tip for your new trends for 2024.
And it's interesting. I mean, I don't know enough about it to really comment on any detail. It's just that I just remember a few years ago when the government was opening up the whole open banking thing, and people were looking around at what the next opportunity might be. And obviously we saw the challenger banks come through off the back of that. But now effectively, because data is so portable and it's so instant as well, that there's obviously data issues around that, which we need to be mindful of. But I just wonder how much these two things are kind of, going hand in hand. But just on the point of payments, that was kind of one of my final points on that, which is, I know we've talked about this before, because with your background, you're kind of surprised by how slow some affiliate payments are, particularly, let's say, the retail sector. I think that the payments is ripe for disruption in this industry, and I think that, again, if we can get behind a message whereby the faster you pay people, the more those companies have to reinvest in their businesses. And the more confidence they have to, if they want to continue to innovate and build new tech and new solutions for publishers, they need to have that cash in the bank, or they need to have the ability to access funds quickly. And it's that we don't know what we don't know. We have always done it whereby payments have typically been quite slow. Not everyone, not every brand, but overall payments are generally slow. And you don't know how much that is inhibiting growth of the channel. So I think that is right for disruption. And I don't know. I don't have any kind of insider dealings or information on this, but I just get a sense from speaking to various companies and getting a feel for how people are feeling about it, that next year could be a year where we maybe see networks in particular focusing in and trying to kind of be the quickest payer.
Love to see that happen. So if anybody's listening to this and they've got payments, product ideas or anything else, please hit me up, because I'd love to tell you how it works in other industries that I've worked in. Okay, so let's wrap this up. How do people listening to this podcast get involved with the APMA right now?
So obviously, I mean, we're recording this just prior to the launch. So by the time you hear this, we should launch. So the website should be fully functioning. We do want to bake in like some e-commerce functionality so people actually go and sign up and pay online. That's not going to be ready for launch, but there will be a lead form on there. There'll be details around the different membership tiers and what the cost of those tiers and what you can expect to get in return, the benefits. But it's the apma.co.uk and you should be able to. And even if you're not interested in becoming a member, you can sign up for newsletters.
Yeah, and just keep abreast. I mean, the whole thing is get connected into your community, learn from your peers. That's what this is all about. And it's really, really good advice. Right. I want to put you on the spot now, make you think of just one word that you leave all of our listeners with. A word that we should all be thinking about and of as we head into 2024.
Okay, I will give you a word, but can I just give you a quick bit of background as to why I thought of this word?
Yes.
So the one of the old American justices on the Supreme Court was Ruth Bader Ginsburg, and when she died, there were obviously people were very kind of, there were all of these tributes, and I remember seeing an interview with somebody who said that she was really collegiate, and I kind of obviously know that, it's related to colleges and stuff like that. But actually, when you kind of look at the definition of collegiate, it's different to collaboration, in that collaboration is sort of the act of collaborating, like doing stuff with other people, whereas collegiate is more around how you do it. And it's sort of this atmosphere around sort of, friendly collaboration, work, leaving your egos at the door, coming together to achieve something better and kind of respecting everybody in the room and all of that kind of stuff. So my very, very long-winded way of saying collegiate would be my word for the APMA next year.
I love that. Well, I think collegiate should be the word for the entire affiliate industry for next year. Let's all come together and collaborate. I mean, we only all win.
Well, it can be, how Pantone always have their colour of the year.
We can have a word of the year. Absolutely. Well, mine would be amplify. I want to see everybody amplify all of their efforts and then come together and be collegiate to learn from them.
Yes, there we go. Perfect.
I mean, together we make two halves of a great whole. Thank you so much for being on this podcast, Kevin Edwards. It has been a pleasure to have you back, and really looking forward to seeing how the industry pulls together behind the APMA, which is another opportunity for you to get your voice heard and to come and learn with peers. And thank you just for being here today and giving us all of your insights from all of the conversations that you've been having around the industry too. It's been great to have you.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
This podcast is brought to you by AMP. The Affiliate Manager Performance Program is designed for ambitious affiliate program managers working at brands, agencies, or affiliate networks that are looking to grow and scale their affiliate programs and partner performances. We've already helped hundreds of affiliate program managers from a range of industries get the best out of their affiliate partnerships and build consistent sales within their affiliate programs. With just 1 hour per week over a 12-week period, this program is unlike any other. You'll learn proven tactics, tested strategies, and access decades of experience with industry veterans who have launched, scaled, and grown multi-million-dollar affiliate programs around the world. Book your seat on our next cohort by visiting our website, affiversemedia.com, and hit the training menu. From there, you can register your interest for our next cohort launch or simply contact our sales team to find out more. that's a wrap for this week's Affiliate Marketing Podcast. If you're loving what we're putting down, why not head over to Apple iTunes and give us a 5-star review? Make sure to subscribe to our podcast and our YouTube channel so you never miss another insightful episode or one of our free webinars ever again. Tune in next week for more digital affiliate marketing insights, trends, tips, and content to keep your affiliate and performance marketing fresh and your partners driving consistent sales.